Okay guys, so here we are with this Riley Pathfinder 4 Practical Classics magazine. The next stage, which is where we're at, which is what we said to you we were going to be. We've got obviously all the tears done, as you can sort of see if we sort of start scanning around the seat. You can sort of see this is in the last video, which is what we showed you, was all these sections here that we were doing the filling on, and potentially we maybe did like a bit of fibre binder work over here as well, on this sort of side here. So we've now gone and repaired all the tears, as you can clearly see. Everywhere there was tears, and we've put all the filler into all of these items that you can clearly see. This is the next stage. So what we're going to now be doing and showing you is we're going to be showing you the sanding process that we're going to use. We've got this is a 220 grit paper, and then we've got these sanding pads as well. So they're roughly sort of like the same sort of grit area anyway, but sometimes, you know, the foam ones are actually a little bit better because you can get a bit more pressure on them, and because you can blow those out, you can then blow those out with the airline and then reuse them over and over. So when they don't become as coarse, they can be used for other things along the process. So it's sort of saving money and doing that, and it saves sort of replacing them and chucking them out all the time. You can just blow them out with the airline and get rid of the dust that's in there and reuse them. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be sanding some of these sort of areas that you can see where my hands are here, which is where we obviously showed you on the video, and then we're going to be applying some dark grey leather colorant as a base to see how much more filler we need in this cracking, or if it does, or if I'm happy with it, to have a slight indentation where these natural lines are, so it retains the patina of the seat and looks more realistic. This also, being the dark grey, gives us a nice foundation for the maroon that's going to go on here, because these seats are changing colour to maroon because that was the colour of the original interior in the vehicle. To show you what we mean, this is one of the original seats, and you can sort of see why we're replacing it. This is literally like cardboard, and this is obviously the sort of damage that it's sustained, and it's very, very dried out. So this is the colour that they're actually going to be going to, and obviously we have a new back seat that we're going to be restoring as well, which is the same as this front bench seat that we've done. We have the new back seats to go on as well, but this one has actually got a lot of damage on it, and it's in quite poor shape. So the interior is being changed for a genuine, you know, interior for the Riley Pathfinder, but we're just changing the colour back to the maroon that it was originally, from the colour that you can see here. So we're going to use the 220 grit first of all, and we're just going to very, very lightly, this one happens to have a sticky back, so it's quite good because I can stick it to my gloves. The only reason why I put gloves on is because we're going to be using the paint. I just don't want to get my hands dirty today, but it doesn't really particularly matter if you do, because it does just wash off. So you're just going to simply go over the surface. You're not putting any pressure on here, like pushing on it. You're just lightly going over the surface and lightly sanding away any of this sort of excess filler that you can see that we've applied on here. And the purpose of doing this is just to smooth out this filler, and so we don't get any ridges when we start applying the paint. We're just literally smoothing the filler out. Hopefully the camera can keep up with the way I'm keep moving my hand about. And you can sort of see there where we've gone over this now, you can see a slight little indentation in this one here. You can sort of follow the edge of the paper. There is a slight little indentation, and you can sort of see the indentations here as well. I'm quite happy with those like that, to be fair, because I think that's just going to retain all that sort of patina that the seat has got and make it look a lot more realistic. And you can sort of see where I'm going over sanding these, that it's actually leaving quite a nice bit of patina on there, to be fair. So I'm very, very happy with that. And I think it's going to look quite good once the colour starts to go on and then the maroon's building up on the seats. It's going to look a lot more realistic, and it's like it's a very loved, very old sort of aged seat that's been well cared for. So I'm quite happy with the way that's looking, but you know, only time will tell once we obviously start to get the colour on there to see exactly what it's going to be like. But I'm going to concentrate on this area first of all for you, because that's the main area that we did with the filling in the last video anyway. So just give it a real good sand down. Then I'm just going to blow that away. I'm just going to use a hairdryer to blow the powder away. If it doesn't work, then I'll just put on the airline, and you have to just excuse the noise of the airline as it blows any dust and grime away, because I want to apply a bit of colour on there. But I think we're looking okay, you know. I think it's looking quite good. Let's just see if the hairdryer can blow all that away. which it is doing. So the airline's blown away the dust. I mean, what we're going to do now is we're going to put a coat of the dark grey on. This is going to act as like a primer base coat, really. So if you're painting maroon, always remember to put a darker shade down first. In a lot of cases, black is quite a good idea, you know, like our wheat black. You can put the wheat black down. You only want a very thin coat, which I'll show you in a moment. You don't want to put a real thick coating on there. It's just a real thin coat of the black you want on there, or the dark grey. The purpose of that is the darker the colour, it shadows through the maroon. Maroons, reds and things like that are very translucent, very see-through colours. So if you have a darker base on there, it means you need to use less of your maroon going on the top. So that makes it very, very good, you know, to have this dark grey base going on there, so that you then use less paint, so then it looks more realistic and it doesn't look false or fake or anything like that. Because the last thing we want is for this to come out looking plastic. You know, this isn't plastic, this is genuine 100% leather. This isn't any of this vegan garbage that you get. This is genuine 100% leather. This is from 1950, so it's quite an old seat. So give it a bit of a shake up first of all. As a bit of a tip, we have like a little filter in ours, which is just like a paint filter. The sort of filter that we put in there is this. It's just a normal sort of paint filter. We use the Fast Movers 190 micron, and we just tear these apart like so, and we take this filter out like this. We just take the filter out like that, and we use that, and it goes over the top of the bottle, screw the cap back on, and it acts as a bit of a filter. So any dry paint that you get that forms inside, which you will do, it actually captures that and it stops that coming through the top of the spout. So that's just like a nice little tip there for everybody that wants to sort of restore their seats. Put that filter on there because it's going to filter it. So get some colour on here, and you're just going to rub the colour in like so. It doesn't matter what it looks like or anything like that. We're just trying to get a tiny amount of colour going on here to colour this over, just to act as a base. We're not trying to restore the colour at this moment in time. We're just literally getting a small amount of colour on there, almost as like a guideline, so that we can see what we're doing, because we're literally at these stages now where we're going to be colouring. Because the next one that you're going to look at is us actually putting the maroon paint on here, which we've just scanned on our Spectro, ready to do that, because we can do that for people if they wanted to. We can do exact bespoke colour matching if you wanted that doing. We just need a sample of leather from you to enable us to do that. If you can sort of get like a minimum of like a 15mm wide square piece, that's absolutely fantastic to fit our window. That would be brilliant, and then we can actually scan that with a Spectro, which is quite an expensive machine, and do that for you. But you can see there now, we're sort of getting that built up. You can then stipple a coating on there if you wanted to, like so, to build the colour up. And then once that's ready, we can then obviously get the maroon colour on there. And you can see that slowly building that colour through there, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's leaving the patina in there quite nicely. We might have to do one or two little bits more filling in here, which isn't a problem. And you can see down here as well, if we come down to the bottom, and you can see here as well what it's looking like here. So we don't want this to be perfectly coloured. We're just trying to get like a little bit of a base coat colour on here to give you a bit of a, you know, foundation base coat for the maroon, because we're going to spray the maroon on with a spray gun. We're going to use the DeVilbiss spray gun to spray the maroon on here to give us a nice sort of even coating. But I think that's looking okay, to be fair. That's looking quite good. And just get that colour soaked in there as well, in the bare leather, and just stipple that on. But I don't think that's looking too bad. I'll just go back over the top here, where we'd started, just to finish that little section off. But I don't think that's looking too bad at all. Come down and sort of get the piping covered a little bit there. Get into the tight little corners, but that's starting to look okay. You can see all the cracking in here, which is absolutely fantastic. So we may have to do, you can sort of see where the filler's gone in. So this is, once this starts to get used, it's going to reform all of its sort of natural lines on it, which is really great. None of this is going to crack, because obviously it's a very, very flexible filler. So this is the stage that we're at now. We may just put a tiny bit more filler in these, which we can do once this is dried. That's absolutely no problem. We can do that. We'll dry it in a second with the hairdryer, and then I'm going to apply some flexi filler in these. Now they're very fine, I'm just going to put flexi filler into them because they're at that stage. So we'll just get this dried very, very quickly. You have to excuse the noise while I do that. As you can see, it does dry very, very quickly. You know, that's drying very, very quickly. So it's very, very quick drying. So we're just going to get some flexi filler and put in here where these little lines are. Flexi filler, as you can see, is just, you want to keep the flexi filler into the lines only now at this stage, because you don't want to be doing too much sanding if you can help it. And you can see the flexi filler just going in there and filling those little lines up now. So it's just going in there absolutely perfectly to fill those up. And all we're trying to do now is just to fill up these lines, to still leave a bit of patina here. So we're just trying to fill the lines up that you can see as we're going around. And this is, as I say, we're just using the flexi filler to do that. And then once that's dried, we can give that another sand and then recolour like we've just done again. Just got to try to get into as many of the nooks and crannies as you possibly can to get that flexi filler going in there. So it's all nicely done, but you can sort of see there's not much filler going in here at all now, to be fair, because it's not really taking to many of the lines at all. We don't want to fill them up completely because it's just going to look plastic if you do that. It's not going to have any detrimental effect on the leather or anything like that. It's just, you just don't want them, too many of them filled up. So that's looking quite good. So that's the flexi filler that's gone on there. That's going to be the final time that we sort of put any filler on here at all. So that will be the sort of last sort of amount of filler that goes on there. Again, we would dry that and then carry on and proceed over with the dark grey, thin coat of dark grey again. So that is the stage that we're at next. And that is the Riley Pathfinder video for Practical Classics. That's us done now with we've sanded the filler. We've sanded the areas that we've obviously done for you to show you what we've done last time, and then we put our base coat of colour on there. We've applied a small amount of filler back into here, and then obviously we're going to sand that and then put another coat of the base coat grey over the top again. And then once we've done that, we'll be ready to show you how we're going to do the colouring stage, and we'll probably do a little bit more of the colouring stage on the seat when we're spraying, because that obviously won't take as long, and you can sort of see how that goes. But obviously things like lines and stuff like that, like these here, we're probably going to come down with these first of all when we paint these with the maroon, with like a paintbrush, so that we can get into all those lines properly. And when we sort of come around to doing like the seating areas and stuff like that, like down here, we're probably going to end up having this chopped up with something so that we can actually get underneath here properly. So we're going to end up probably having this wedged up. So that we can do that. Now, this is how soft the seat has become. You can see this. Look, this is absolutely fantastic. There's no way we could have done that previously. This is really nice and soft and supple now, as you can see, the way it's sort of rippling across. It's beautiful now. So, I mean, I'm very, very happy with the results, with all the softening that we've done. But we're going to have to get this chopped up so that we can sort of like almost get like a piece of timber in there, either end, like this, to open it up so that we can get right in there to change the colour. The last thing you want to do is to sit on here and see this sort of grey blue underneath. So we've got to obviously get that chopped up, get the colour under there properly when we're spraying that in. And we're going to spray the colour in there because you only need like a real thin coating on there because it's not something that's going to be seen. You just need like thin coat to shadow it, and that will be sufficient. But we'll show you how to get all the paint into these lines and around here as well when we're doing the maroon, especially into the sort of pleated area here, because you can sort of see if you open up these pleats, they are quite sort of deep pleats when you're sort of going down. So we need to get the paint in there first with the paintbrush and then spray the maroon over it. And that is going to be the next stage. We'll get a final coat on here, so you're not going to see that. We'll get the whole seat painted grey, and then we're going to show you getting the paint into these lines and spraying on the maroon in the next video. So that is the Riley Pathfinder video for Practical Classics. As always, guys, please hop over and give us a like and a follow. It would be very much appreciated. The follow button, like button is top, bottom, wherever it is. Give us a like, give us a follow, and hop on over to Practical Classics and do the same to them. And if you wish to subscribe to the magazine, it's a fantastic magazine. And Danny and the crew down there do an amazing job, and we're privileged to be given this opportunity to restore this seat for them. Please support them and help them, because they do an amazing job of restoring cars and bringing them back to life. Thank you very much, guys.